Hello and welcome to Box to Board. And tonight we are talking to Andy and Ben from GCT Studios. That's the guys behind Bushido. And I'm really excited about this, having a chat with them. So I suppose one of the things to do is just what do you guys do? What's your role within the game? What's your role within the game? Introduce yourselves so people can make sense of what we're talking about. It would be quite a good thing to do. Go for it.
Andy, do you want to go first?
Okay, fine, I will. All right, I'm Andy Palmer. I help with the rules. Jason is the main rule guys, though. And I am the functioning lore encyclopedia for the setting.
Fantastic.
So I freelance mostly for GCT Studios as a sculptor and sculptor manager, but I also, I don't know, it's like art odd jobs, so like card designs, box art designs, not the actual drawing because I can't draw, but the like the actual product design, packaging stuff.
Cool. So we have I've chatted to some of the guys from my club, and I did mention this earlier on. So one of the questions is, first of all, I guess, who's your favorite character? Which character do you think actually in the game they really I like them, I like what they do, and I like the character?
Do you mean like fiction wise or mechanics wise?
Up to you because I can never separate the two out. It's sort of one of the, for me it's like
Okay, fiction wise, I'm very interested to see what happens with Hagane from the prefecture.
Yeah.
Mostly because I've helped develop that particular storyline, but we'll see how that pans out. I need to speak to our writer, Alistair, to iron out all the details of this.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorites. And
so
mechanics
to just like clarify why that's moving forward, that's been a recent resculpt, hasn't it? Hagane and Hero of the prefecture, along with the cycle cards.
Yes,
so like moving their story forward a little bit, and then you've got more to come, hopefully.
Yes, no, that's it. That's it, Ben. That's all we've written.
Yeah,
it's all we'll ever write. So yes, she's my favorite fiction-wise right now, and mechanics-wise, maybe Hiroto and eldest brother, or Toshiro. Toshiro is my other favorite mechanics-wise because he just changes the way the game is played. You think it's playing normally, and then someone puts Toshiro on the board, you're like, this is not the game I signed up for. What happened?
Yeah.
You nearly stole my answer there as well. I think Hiroto's a really interesting aspect of the setting at the moment. There's lots of foreshadowing as part of his release, but also just some really cool background, and the way the background with eldest brother and the way that the two of them play is like a horrifying flanking unit of doom. I've enjoyed playing them, and Kevin did the sculpts, and they are gorgeous.
Now, this is the random world that some of us live in. So, which of these two would they prefer to fight? I'm going to say, so Toshiro and Hiroto. Which one would they prefer to face on a dark night? Blackbeard the pirate. We can't say pirate because there's a whole set of pirates in the game. Or we'll call him Bjorn the bloodthirsty Viking. Which one would they prefer?
Okay, Hiroto would like to fight Bjorn the Bloodthirsty Viking because that's a new fighting style he can adopt.
Yeah.
Toshiro has all the weapons, so getting some new weapons would be good. He would probably say, I'll take both, please.
Yeah.
What you got?
Let me see your weapons before I fight you. Yeah, okay. Yep.
That was one of my favorite redesigns from New Dawn to Risen Sun.
He was heavily streamlined, wasn't he?
Oh yes, I mean, he used to have all the text, and Jason's list of benefits was really quite large. So we realized actually he just has all the weapons. Let's give him all the specials.
Yeah, yeah. That is terrifying.
Yep.
So at the minute, what one of the things that really struck me about the game, one of the things that attracted me to it was that the factions all felt very different. So they all felt very much like I could pick one that suited the way I wanted to play. So if I wanted, I could. If you've got three factions that play, in some games factions are very similar. But the nice thing about Bushido is if you're in the mood for playing a certain style of game, you can lift a faction and more or less play that style of game, which is lovely. Obviously, your opponent may have something to say about that, but in terms of the factions, which factions do you find yourself drawn to? Which are the factions that interest you, intrigue you, and why? Is really straightforward. It's a weird question, but.
Right, Ben, you can go first this time.
So I got into Bushido with the Ito Clan and New Dawn Indiegogo, which was 2013, I think, or something like that. And honestly, Ito Clan have been the thing that I've played the most for a long time. And I still really like them, but I was doing a lot of work with the Battlescribe files for Bushido, and as a result was pretty much reading every profile card, and got kind of obsessed with the Tengu, with the Dissension, but it's all the Suzumi, the really lightweight ones, the ones that just can't hit at all.
Yeah.
But it's just, they're so maneuverable, and I think there was also a little bit of a narrative from people of they were underpowered, and I looked at them and was like, well, they sort of got the maneuverability of Ito, but even more so.
Yeah.
They don't have the hitting power, but I love, so that's currently my my claim of the game.
Yeah.
Interest, I think. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see, I got into the game with Ito, but they sort of fallen by the wayside for me. Then I picked up Jung Pirates, and I'm very much a Jung player. And finally, I during the playtesting from New Dawn to Risen Sun, I picked up Prefecture because Prefecture had some issues in New Dawn. They definitely weren't performing at tournament level that they should have been. So I thought I'll pick these up and find out what issues there were, and we did a very good job of ironing those out. So
yeah.
I think one of the things that I've really liked to see with this new edition is the consolidating of the theme of each faction.
Yeah.
And really like distilling it. And Ito actually had been one of the biggest changes, where they used to just, you thought they were a glass hammer faction, but they'd hit so hard and they could still tank. Whereas they've been changed quite a lot now. So I've really enjoyed seeing that. But when you say like you can pick up a faction to play the way you want, absolutely. But I think you can also, within that, you can go a couple of different ways as well, which I've always really really appreciated. And you see that with the themes as well, where most factions have at least two themes. Well, they all have at least two themes. Shiho don't, but they don't count.
Yeah.
They're not a full faction yet. They're a sub-faction right now.
Yeah.
It's funny because I play Temple mainly. Just because I liked the idea of it's not. I've been told it's not a raccoon, but it reminds me of Rocket Raccoon. I just like I like
Master Akari.
Master Akari. He's awesome. And
he's a Tanuki, really?
Yes, he's supposed to be a Tanuki.
Yeah, I just adore him, whatever he is. Because he really the heck out of people.
He's a dick.
That's because you play against Adam's 30,000 activation warband.
Yeah.
I can beat it with Prefecture. I don't know if I can beat it with Pirates.
Yeah, he's infuriating to play against. Both Adam and Akari. So.
It's nice with. I think that's the thing with Temple. Like you said, you can switch the way you play with them quite a lot. The mastery you bring makes a huge difference, and it can just completely rejuvenate. So you get a little bit. You can get, it never happens to people playing games, but you get a little bit stuck in your ways with faction or warband, and actually you can just tweak it to your own model. You can completely change the way it plays.
I think one of the other interesting things that allows you to do more of that as well is the Ronin concept. So, I mean, lots of games have mercenaries in them, of course, but the way that you can pick up a couple of Ronin that will change the way that you run your faction. But then if you want to then experiment with a different faction, you've already probably got a couple of Ronin that you can put in there as well, which means that like you can sort of ease yourself into buying 4 factions rather than just going,
You can kid yourself that you're not really buying a whole faction. No, not really. No.
Yeah.
They've got all these Ronin, they already work for them. Now, I like a lot of Jason's design decisions with the faction redesigns and conscious decisions for things like the Ronin. Like, for instance, for equal rice cost, Ronin will generally be better than a faction model. It's sort of the reverse decision for a lot of other games where they go, these guys will show up your weaknesses, but they'll be terrible compared to regular guys.
Yeah.
So it encourages you to either break out of theme, because most themes won't let you take Ronin models. And there's a couple, but I can't think of them just off the top of my head. So if you want to bring these extra powerful guys, you've got to drop out of a normal theme. So out of a faction theme and go into one of the Ronin themes.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of that in the game. We were set, where you there's a cost, there's a price, and you have to think. It's not a game that you can just roll a billion dice and hope that you kill everybody. It's not that kind of game at all, which is one of the joys of it. We were talking about the whole fact that you don't get rewarded for tabling people in this game, which is glorious and sometimes very frustrating. If you're a very aggressive player, it can actually be it can be to your detriment at times. You have to really control yourself in the game quite a lot.
It does take some adjusting for some people, I think. Depends what games they've come from before.
Yeah.
But often, people are taken aback by the idea that, well, I just get all 3 VPs. Nope. The scenario.
Current turn ends.
You were talking earlier on, and that was a conscious decision to maintain that, to keep that in the game. You said so. That's quite it's a very distinctive characteristic of this game, that you have to stay very focused on lots of games have objectives, but just the utter importance of them in the games were really remarkable. And the scenarios are so good.
All on Jason for that.
Yeah, they're really, really good. So, in terms, quick rules chat. What rule do you like most and why? What rule do you like most and why?
My favorite rules interaction is strategy and tactician, because I help develop strategy to give the Hare Clan some identity. But the other thing I quite like is virtue. But as I said previously, virtue seems to be strangely confusing to quite a lot of people. It's one of the most common rules questions we get. And it functions as in one model will generate tokens, and usually that model has a big list of benefits you can get from spending that token. But the benefit applies to whichever model spent that token, not the person generating it, unless you give them a token.
Yeah.
So, and you'll see a lot of Temple, I guess, so very big fans of Virtue with Aiko.
Yeah.
And the Shisai for Ito are the other big ones, though Ben seems to like Wisdom of the Mountains a lot to get some Virtue tokens for Tengu.
Yeah. It's because it allows me to have something that deals with, like, I think is it Sixth Sense? It's been a while.
Sixth Sense with is it Rio Hobo you use?
Yeah. I mean, Tengu, other than, I guess, Temple, the amount of channel and leech that they can do, the amount of key movement that they can do is fantastic. And,
yes, we had to nerf Hokibo between editions because you could give him the maximum 8 chi, and you used to have dominate, which didn't have a once per turn limit.
Yeah.
And it's not fun when your first activation is every turn. Your opponent just tells you what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the virtue tokens were a way of combining a bunch of other tokens that were floating around in the game, like animal tokens on Kuma and stuff like that. So that was one of those streamlining things that then sort of propagated out through models which hadn't done that sort of thing before, but made sense.
So Ben, what's your favourite? What rule bit do you like? What aspect of the gameplay do you like?
So I've got two answers, I guess. Like, I'm interested to see how people apply pack now that the Wolf Clan are out there, because that's potentially horrifying for your opponent, but it's one of those you can very seriously overextend yourself and put yourself in a bad situation when your opponent then can just keep going when you've run out of models to activate. Personally, again, coming back to the Suzumi for Tengu, just all the place mechanics. The idea that you can take a theme where you can once per game place a model within an inch, and then you can play a special card in the same starting phase if you want to then place that model within an inch, and then that model might have a special card which allows it to place within 2 inches, and all of a sudden you've revealed your Vim before your opponent knows what's happening. And that's when you were saying like scenarios are so important, and it's not about just killing. And I said that people have that trouble moving from another game, and it's things like with the Tengu, especially with these Suzumi, they're so maneuverable that they're not going to kill much, but they can accomplish objectives. It's like
they're one of the
better than anyone else.
They're one of the only group of models which you can actually do like a real life feint with. So they're positioned all on the right, so your opponent puts all the stuff, then you're like, well, bye, I'm over there now, opposite side of the board.
Yeah.
And we've seen a couple of new special cards come out for their special card pack, but also in the cycle deck as well.
Yep.
So there's some interesting stuff.
So we've mentioned the cycle deck a couple of times. So explain for people what the cycle deck does and what's going on with it. Most people will know, but a few won't.
Okay, the cycle deck effectively is the story deck, so to speak. It applies, I think we're doing them yearly, but I can't confirm that just now. But you can only ever use one cycle deck. So the current cycle deck is the Year of the Risen Sun, which is denoted by the little red Bushido symbol on the top left-hand corner. This also applies to the new special cards which come with Hero and Hagane resculpts, Hair by Blood and Hair by Deed. So you can use those while the Risen Sun, well, you can keep using them if you want, but you can only ever have cards from one cycle deck. Right. So when the next cycle deck appears, I think it's going to be called White Dawn, but I don't know for certain. It'll have its own cards, and you can't mix and match Risen Sun cards with White Dawn cards.
Right, yeah.
Whereas the faction card decks are, in other games, I'd say they're core cards, or they're a fixed set of cards which will always be available.
Yeah.
So if your faction's broken with those cards, I'm afraid it's going to stay broken.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas the cycle cards I don't think they'll eventually phase out, but we'll definitely see some interesting synergies and combos come up.
Yeah.
I'm sure at some point there'll be a format where you can just say, any card goes, break the game, off you go.
Yeah, there'll be people who will love that.
I think Bushido was originally conceived, I think Gordon and Toby had originally hoped that it would be quite narrative, and that there would be, the narrative would be moving on every year. But that, I think, has just proven to be really difficult as a really small company, a really small team, especially like if you want to think about doing resculpts and so on around that. So I think this is their solution, which is, I think it's pretty elegant. You get, I can't remember how many cards are in the cycle deck. Is it 30?
It's like 2 per faction, and there's a bunch of
run-in ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could count them here, but I'm not sure people want to listen to me literally counting cards on video.
Just Google it. People love watching that.
Google it if you want to. It is a nice way to do it, because it means that from a player's point of view, you're not paying a fortune every year, but also it gives it that narrative aspect, and gives it that sense of, actually, this is a game that develops. It keeps moving on a little bit.
Yeah, but I think also them not becoming redundant is important for that as well, because some people can feel, I'm paying this much for cards.
Yeah.
What's it give me? And I think it gives you so many options in the long term. And obviously, it's like, I think from Jason's point of view, it can be a bit of a playground for wackier things, because he doesn't have to worry about two wacky things interacting if they're in separate cycles.
Yeah. And I do like that we put all the little bits of story in the tiny, tiny, tiny blurbs at the bottom.
Yeah.
I love that Bushido tells its story that way. So I don't tend to follow the stories in games. 40k is a bit different because I grew up with it from when I was like 9 or something. But with most games, I don't tend to follow the background that much. But I love all the little bits of all the snippets of background that are hidden on cards and on the wiki. You've got the descriptions of characters, and I think that probably ties into how I loved the 40k and 30k background when I was young, because there'd be just this tiny little box out in a white dwarf or a codex or something, and you'd be like, oh, what does that mean? Yeah. Questions are more interesting than answers, I think. So yeah, I like that they do that.
I'm a huge proponent of the mysterious staying mysterious.
Yeah, and it gives you the feeling of that that hinterland, and you don't need to know every detail of it. Yeah.
Well, you've just got to realize a lot of the people in the setting, they simply don't know.
Yeah.
Like, why are the Kami doing this? We've tried asking the monks, they don't know. And if they don't know, I definitely don't know. So I can't give you an answer.
One of the things that stands out is that the aesthetic and the quality of models is superb. So that's another aspect that draws people into the game. I mean, for myself, I originally got into it because I just liked the models, and I was doing a bit of role playing, and actually they were ticking boxes that I needed to be ticked as a role player. But then I went, this game's actually really good as well. What why didn't I know about this? There've been a couple of people playing, but the Risen Sun edition has just lifted off completely.
Yeah.
It's just been insane. And suddenly discovering all of these minis that are beautiful. Not just they're good minis, they're beautiful minis. It's been a real revelation for people, I think. So what sculpts, what minis do you really love? What are the ones that you look at and you go, yeah, that's awesome. That's an awesome mini.
My answer is going to be long and complicated, I think. Which won't surprise anyone who knows me. I think when I say I got into Bushido with the Ito clan, it was Itsunagi. That sculpt is beautiful. And I'm a digital sculptor, but I'm a sucker for a good physical sculpt. And just the arrogance oozing out of him was awesome. And Ayako as well. I love those sculpts. Then it sort of, I started to work for Bushido, and that was sort of like the dream job as a freelancer, because I'd fallen in love with the game as well, like yourself. And for me, I think my favorite sculpts that I did is Goro for the Savage Wave. In fact, they're both for the Savage Wave, Goro and Kokoro, the old Oni.
Yeah.
Because they're just real fun sculpts. Got to do great big stupid muscles on Goro, and then sort of old saggy belly, and used to be heavily muscled, but it's sort of gone downhill a bit on Kokoro, and wacky staff stuff.
That's close to home for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah. I'm loving the new Hagane sculpt. She's sitting on my desk with just base coated paint at the moment.
Well, that was what I was going to say. Kevin's stuff is just, I really love working with Kevin, because the stuff he's done for Hagane, Hiro, Hiroto, they all begin with H.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else. The Capo, strangely, is one of my favorite I don't know if it's strangely, but it probably is my favorite miniature that I painted. Or it's just nice, easy paint, and it came out so well. I really enjoyed painting that miniature. Even though it's tiny, it's not particularly, you don't look and go, that's an amazing sculpt, and it looks good, but it's not, doesn't have that wow factor. I guess that might be due to its size, but for models I've painted, easily top one, top two.
Yeah, I think it's certainly, it's been an interesting world to dip into, as you know. I just find it fascinating, and I find metal minis can be a pain for me sometimes. I came from a model back. I was a modeler before I was a war gamer, and it was like, metal just was driving me mad. But actually, I find these are really good, and they just keep getting better. There's some of them they're a bit fiddly. They always will be.
Those, they're almost all my fault. The fiddly ones.
Yeah, but that was like your first set. Tomotsu's
yeah, the
infamous
Ito,
arrow.
Yeah, the Okyo, Ashigaro, Okyo archers and Jiru they weren't the first sculpts I did for GCT. The first sculpts were the Kaihai, the demon dogs for Savage Wave.
Yep.
And I'd never sculpted anything other than like a human male, so that was interesting.
Yeah.
I screwed it. Oh, and the Nightwing Swarm. That's like super fiddly. Everything's really thin. I'm amazed they actually printed it and cast it. So anyone who's working with those, sorry.
I am awaiting someone to use the person that comes with it and not the tree stump.
Oh yeah, I used the tree stump as well. It's because I thought, the girl will be useful for something else, and probably on the shelf somewhere. I don't know.
I won't name the games, but trust me, there are worse out there. There's been times whenever I went, I finally got this to stick. Unfortunately, my fingers are stuck to it now. And it's that sort of, and then try to squeeze.
For me, like, what I would say is, like, I own all those really fiddly models that I sculpted, and so I felt the pain of anyone else doing them, and it seared into me such that now it's something that I really pop up, something that I really try to get ahead of. So obviously we work with quite a small group of sculptors. Our most regular guys being Kevin and Andrew, who both do really, really good work. And it's not often that I have to say, it's a bit thin. But yeah, assembly has been a thing that we've focused on a lot.
Yes, I'm a big fan of like the big Tengu wings, like they're just pegs. And the fact that Hokibo stands by himself, like I can put him on the table just on his feet and he stands upright, perfectly balanced.
Fluke.
Careful design.
Well, so one of the things that has changed in the last 2 years or so is that I now do all the 3D printing as well as some of the sculpting and managing the other sculptors. So if something comes out and doesn't work physically, then I make the changes and I reprint it. So we have multiple checks now. Let's take me out of the equation as a sculptor. So we have the sculptors doing stuff. They send me things. I check it over every couple of days or whatever whenever they send the iterations. Then I get the files. I check them over. I get the print. I check that over, and then it finally goes to Gordon, who will turn around to me and go, "This guy's too small. Ben didn't notice." And I'm like, "No, I've been staring at him too long." And so I'll reprint him, and he'll go again. And then that finally goes to the casters. So hopefully we've got a structure now, which means that we won't get problems like that anymore, or at least absolute minimum.
There was a game that again shall remain nameless, and trust me, it was whenever we had to, one of the players was saying, "Oh, this is driving me mad. It's metal, and I've just put a cigar in a grandmother's mouth, and the cigar was a separate piece.
Yeah, I've had to do that with a pipe.
And a 28mm model. Yeah, it's at that point you're going, that's really fiddly. You know what? I think our time's gone. It's been a real pleasure chatting to you guys. Is just last question. What excites you about the next couple? Obviously, COVID-19 is, all our calendars have gone to pot. We don't have a clue what's going on anymore. But what excites you at the moment about the game, how it's progressing? And I know there's limits to what you guys can say, and we know that. But what is there that's, this is brilliant at the minute. Into the short term, what's exciting you about it? And it can be anything. It can be stuff in the community. It can be stuff in the rules.
I mean, I think seeing more people creating content in the community is really cool. There's a guy called Art. I'm not going to say his surname because I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but he does the Gitsapalooza. Yeah, Wagner or Wagner. I think Wagner, but he's American, so I don't know.
Yeah,
he forced me to do it now. He does the Gitsapalooza YouTube channel, which has got loads of really good content up on there. I with a friend, we do Robot Dice Explosion, so we do like some podcasts and stuff like that. But I'm looking forward to seeing more stuff. We've got the wiki, which is done by Joe Wilson and a couple of other guys.
Yeah.
Yep, I've been very impressed by the wiki.
Simulator. Oh yeah, the wiki's fantastic.
Oh, the Tabletop
battle
Simulator.
scribe files have been so useful. I haven't tried Tabletop Simulator yet, but those guys have put a bunch of work in.
Look how fast they got it done. Holy moly, I was expecting months of development and to get, the bare bones basics of, okay, we've got like a card in the game. Woo. But no, like,
I think
it's
I'm
fully
still probably
functional,
2
guys.
weeks away from getting Vassal to work with just the 2-player starter set. So yeah,
Whereas
what they've
they're
done
like,
is
yep,
amazing.
starter sets, dice, hidden mechanics, you name it, we got it.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Is it out now? Is it? Oh,
the Tabletop Simulator mod is out, but I think it's just the starter sets. I haven't tried it. I bought Tabletop Simulator because it was on sale, and then I haven't had time, or I've just been too knackered to actually.
I haven't arranged any games with that yet. That's something on my to-do list.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait for a few more models because there's a tournament, Tengu Warband I want to try out, but I don't want to. I sold my Tengu on because I had them for a bit to a girl over here who was playing Prefecture, but she didn't like the chess style they had.
Yeah.
She wanted something more aggressive, but I'm not sure it's whether Tengu is still her match, but I didn't want to have to rebuy a whole bunch of models just to see if this warband worked or not. I get to use good old Nagubu Ben, everyone's favorite.
I like Nagubu.
Yep.
You can have some key. You can have some key. It's just dirty.
Yep. Hold along by owls.
I did have, I like there's a mechanic with him where basically you can get sort of pushed by any of the Tengu who are nearby him, and he just sort of drifts. I thought one thing that might be quite fun to do at some point before we all have to go back to work, although I'm back at work anyway, I just work from home, would be to do like a Tabletop Simulator and maybe Vassal if I get that done in time, like just a starter set tournament, like all around the world. And you're only allowed to use the starter sets. Go.
Yeah.
I thought that might be quite fun, but we'll have to see if how easy that is to organise.
Yeah, it would be mad and fun.
yeah.
Because it's the beauty of it is it lets you try things like you're saying. It lets you try. I'm going to try this action. I've always been interested in them, but I don't know. Let's try the starter set. See how they run, and that's a real strength of it. So. Andy, what about you? What's exciting? What you look forward and you go, yep, that's cool. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how the storyline moves or what else it does. I sent a document to the writer that he may or may not use. I'm hoping he does because there's a lot of work in that, and it was a very large document. It just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's one of those like, I'll just give them a paragraph of what I think would happen. And, 20 pages later, just one more sentence. I'm sure I could squeeze it in. So I'm interested to see how or what else is going to do with the story. And I'm very interested to see what people do with the Risen Sun cards. I was hoping to see what would happen this coming Masters at the Games Expo. But with COVID-19, we will have to see whether that's even going to go ahead.
Yeah.
But I'll be very interested to see what people put together with these different things, because people put together stuff like I've never even considered. Last Masters, there were so many warbands. I was just like, that's an absolutely bonkers idea.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it works. So, okay, let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, the Masters is always a really interesting time to see the different metas from around the country and like Spain and France and wherever Olaf's from.
The Netherlands.
Thank you. To see all these different metas come into one place, and then people go, "Oh, really? I didn't know you could do that combination." That's always really interesting. Yeah.
Yep. Unfortunately, we're playing in this Masters, so sad times.
So.
Oh yeah.
Other people will be breathing sighs of relief, I'm sure.
Thank you very much for your time, guys. And
no worries.
It goes without saying, stay safe and well in these times. Thank you for what's been really interesting chat about the world of Bushido. Just to let people on the channel know, there's still the online store's still open, stuff's still going out. So don't know the stock levels. That'll, obviously it depends on how long this thing goes on, but it's still there. So go for it. And thank you for your time, guys, and have a lovely evening.
Yourself, mate.
Same to you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys later.